The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
Scott and Keith are Titterpigs, yeah. Keith and Scott are Titterpigs, oh yeah. They're gonna talk about sweet, sweet RPGs. And it's the Titterpigs, the RPG podcast. Am I getting paid for this one?
All right, welcome back, listeners. This is episode 51 of the best podcast on the internet. So says a poll. No, we're just kidding. But it's the Titterpigs. We are back live in the studio. Scott is back from his international excursion. Mm-hmm. I am back from my international excursion. Nope, just kidding. I'm back from the VA. That was its own thing.
Technically, you're back from the bathroom. But anyways, go on.
No, I'm like back from the dead. I don't know. I was at the VA. You know, it's its own type of trip. Anyways, Scott, welcome back from the land of Canada? Where were you?
Yeah, I am back from the wilds of Canada. I'm still trying to get the last few balloons full of maple syrup out of my carapace. So Merry Christmas. You'll be getting your share in a few weeks. So
oh God, help me, thanks.
But for those interested, we'll be starting a merch site of Titterpigs maple syrup coming soon. So we'll see how that goes. But no, yeah, I took off to the Great White North and went to KamCon, convention located in Kamloops, British Columbia. Little one, well, not little. It's about 90,000 people or so.
That is not
maybe
little.
100,000. No, but it is. I mean, it is a beautiful college town in the in kind of like the more arid high desert area of Canada. It is definitely an obscure location because I think it's the only part of that entire country that has that particular type of what's the word I'm looking for?
What is it? It's its own little climate compared to the rest of Canada. It's the way James, our friend James, has explained it in the past. It's kind of unique.
Yeah. So I mean, it's essentially, imagine like if you've ever been to like just outside of Flagstaff when you're going to the Grand Canyon, it's kind of like that, but it's completely surrounded by your standard, rest of Canada, big trees, lots of green, people dressed in furs, hunting wolverines and beavers. Typical.
Playing hockey,
Yeah, exactly. Playing hockey. But anyway, so yeah, let's get to it. So I was invited up to Canada by James as a guest, and which was interesting because I'm like, did I get the correct email? Because who the hell am I compared to some of the other people that he invited? But no, James, fantastic, wonderful friend, and said, no, would love to have you up here. You obviously entry to the con is taken care of. You'll have a place to stay. All you need to do is, pay for your plane ticket. I wasn't a full guest. There was,
there's levels
tiers.
Of guests. You were at the bottom of that tier.
Yeah. Shane Ivey and Dennis Detwiller, here. And for those who are obviously listening, I'm putting my hand on top of my head. And, I'm of that tier level of guests down here. And for those who are obviously listening and not watching a video, I've got my hand on my crotch. But
too funny.
But yeah, so So it's a 3-day convention that's been going on for some time. We're looking to hopefully have James and his partner Tyler to come on to do a full recap. It may be here with Titterpigs. It may be on my YouTube channel and cross promoting on Titterpigs. But anyway, so though they can indulge us in the full details of it,
Excellent.
of what's going on. But I'll touch on the highlights. So 3-day convention, and because I was essentially a guest, I was there to do a panel on horror in role-playing games with Dennis Detwiller, of course, Shane Ivey. There was Torrin Atkinson, I think his name is. He's a Torrin Atkinson, and some of the Sons of the Singularity. Unfortunately, Torrin could not make it due to personal reasons. And the Sons that were going to be there fucked off because apparently there was a punk band they wanted to see, and that was more important. So,
oh my God, really?
So I was asked to be. So at the time, I thought, well, what are we doing? So James stepped in, which I think he was going to be on there to begin with, but then Ludovic Chabant, friend of ours who is also done work for the Sons of Singularity and other things, popped on there. So it was myself and the 4 of them. But because Torrin couldn't make it, Torrin was supposed to be part of some other activities. One being the, the X-Crawl Classics Live. Brendan LaSalle was also one of the, A-list guests that was there. Brendan was there to run several X-Crawl and Dungeon Crawl Classic games, and also run an X-Crawl Live, essentially just Brendan and the people involved in front of a live audience there at the con. And then I believe someone else couldn't make it that was supposed to be part of this game show there based on the Taskmaster game show, which I had never seen. So those were the major events that I was involved in, and I was going to run 2 games.
Yeah, what did you run?
Mm-hmm. So I was supposed to run 2. It was Weird Heroes of Public Access, and the other one I was kind of like on the hinge about, but I was thinking about doing Mothership. But due to the fact that the primary reason that Shane Ivey and Dennis Detwiller were there was to run the very first public play of the Black Company playtest for the RPG that they've been working on for some time, and because there was a conflict between me running Mothership for a bunch of Canadians or getting into the first Black Company playtest,
So what did you end up doing?
Well, I said sorry and canceled my game and signed up for the Black Company playtest. But I did end up running Weird Heroes of Public Access. So I ran the Burgerland Conspiracy.
Oh, you ran Siege of the Burger.
Thank you. Yes,
Siege of Burgerland.
Siege of Burgerland. While I was there, and had an absolute blast. It was 3 high school, college-age kids, and Ludovic, who was there. And these kids were wonderful. The weirdness and just kind of like the open-ended aspect of how Weird Heroes is. They just...
Well, let's not go into too many details.
Oh, no, I won't, because yes, on a later episode, Keith and I are going to have a discussion review of after he runs it at another con.
Yep.
So, but anyways, it was great fun. I also played. Ludovic ran a Delta Green game there of his own makings, which was great fun also. And then of course the playtest.
Please tell me one of the Arc Dream gentlemen was in his game. That would be great.
No.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
No. The smart people were over at the other table where Dennis was running Delta Green.
Oh, okay. Love you, Ludo.
Yeah, but no, it was great, and so yeah, I mean it's a smallish convention. I mean, I know I think I mentioned to you it might have been about 1,000, but maybe a little less. But
dude, that's not fucking small.
Well,
the con I'm going to in November is going to have like 400 to 600 people.
Okay, well, when I say small, I mean more intimate, right? So the con takes place in a college town in the student center, and the student center is kind of a mix of a regular building with kind of a spiral.
It's kind of a atrium, right?
Right.
But it's 2 floors. It's kind of a sprawling sized building, right?
Yeah, 3. It's 3 floors, and each level has.
I thought it was 2. Okay.
Yeah, each floor has its own separate rooms. So everything is kind of, even though it's in a central location, because it's a school and these rooms are more designed for student activities and classrooms, they're very large rooms, easily accessible. Whereas if, at a hotel, you kind of never know what you're going to be in, depending on the room size.
That makes sense.
So a lot of, even at capacity, a lot of space, people were spread out. So it didn't feel like there was that many people there, regardless if it was, 200 or 800 or 900. And there was enough diverse things to do there between your standard board games and war games and card games and video games. And they had its own artist alley with a bunch of arts and crafts stuff, and they had its own vendor hall.
Sweet.
So yeah, so it was, it was a great con, and I would go back there in a hot minute if I was asked back, or even if I wasn't, I would still go back there because it was a great time. And when we get a moment to talk to James, the more details of that and where he's looking to take KamCon.
Oh, that's awesome.
But all in all,
I'm glad you had a fun time.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the con I'm going to in November.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, as I mentioned, I think on the last podcast, I'm going to Mythic Con in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yep.
So if any listeners are going, hey, send us an email. Let's meet up. Throw down. I'm going to run some games. I submitted 3 games while you were fucking off in Canada. I submitted 3 games, got approved. So I'll be running 3 games there. I'm going to do 2 Weird Heroes of public access. I'm going to do the Siege of Burgerland. I'm going to do the same one, and I'm going to do the one called Hello World. So they're both done by, I think it's Tim Snyder.
Yep.
Volume 1 and Volume 2 of his so far 2-volume series of his zine. And I'm going to do The Quiet Year by Avery Alder. I think I got that right. Alder.
yeah.
Is it Alder or Adler? I think it's Alder. And so I'm going to do those. I got those submitted. I'm going to do one on Friday afternoon, the first session, the morning session on Saturday, and the morning session on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to those. Now I just got to, I've already run pre-con, but I've run the Hello World and I've run Quiet Year a number of times.
Yeah.
Now I just got to run the Siege of Burgerland before the con just to cut my teeth on it.
Yeah.
So,
well, you were part of my prep, which kind of led to it.
Yeah. So I've played it.
Yeah.
So now I just want to run it for some folks just to prep for the con, because obviously that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
So I'm
prepared.
More prepared.
We'll discuss it further, but because of how Weird Heroes of Public Access works, you'll give it your own spin, and it'll be a totally different game, I'm sure. So, but I also want to add, since you brought it up, Avery was there also at the convention. She and her partner were there. I think while Avery was also involved in a lot of these various activities, other panels and whatnot. She won Taskmaster. She was part of Taskmaster.
Nice.
And she won her, all around. Her best worst gift was hilarious.
Okay.
But I'll
do tell. No, don't tell.
I'll save.
Let James tell us.
I'll let James tell us. But yeah, I spoke with her for just a brief moment because she was extremely busy. But hopefully we'll have her, or maybe her and her partner, on to talk about her games and everything.
Awesome.
Everything that she's involved in the near future. So
fantastic.
But yeah, so other than that, what else do you have? Anything else new with you, or anything coming up?
No, other than I have that con in November. I'm looking at another con in January, another regional con, about an hour and a half up the road, called Scarab. I'm looking at that one, 3-day con over Martin Luther King weekend. Other than that, no, I haven't gotten anything new in the mail lately. Just doing a lot of reading. Picked up Pirate Borg again, not like bought it, but actually picked it up to start reading it again, because I love pirates, and it's Talk Like a Pirate Week, or as we're recording this. Yeah. So in 2 days from now is Talk Like a Pirate Day on the 19th of September. So everybody can do calendar math. They can figure out what today is as we're recording this.
I don't know.
Well, okay. So for those that don't want to do calendar math, today is the 17th of September. I picked up, not that I picked up, but I'm part of Limithron's Patreon.
Yeah.
As just a free subscriber to the Patreon, and as a backer of the original Kickstarter and all of that, I always get all the updates. Actually, I've done 2 Kickstarters of his now.
Sure.
This week they put out the Talk Like a Pirate Week. Mm-hmm. They cross out the day and put week in its place. Mm-hmm. The in-store event scenario.
Right.
They do a scenario each year. This one happens to be coming out in the new book that was part of the Kickstarter, the most recent Kickstarter that I backed that hasn't delivered yet. It should be by the end of the year. Uh-huh. So that's why I picked up the book again and started rereading it to refamiliarize myself with it, because I haven't run Pirate Borg in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm reading that scenario, which I'm almost done reading, and I'm almost done reading the book. Uh-huh. And I just picked it up again last night. Right. So, because it's so super easy to read. So I'll be running that for most of you goobers in another week or 2.
Yeah. So, well, just a quick question before we move on to the main subject. So Pirate Borg, right? I'm sure you're going to be doing pre-gens. Have you ever run one with one of the sentient animals?
No.
Okay. I would highly recommend picking one, because the one that I did was superb. So maybe consider it. You could be particular about it. Of course, the alligator and the monkey kind of works best. But what's the other?
I can see that.
What's the other one? A chicken?
There's like 8 of them, dude.
Yeah. I mean, so
8 or 10 of them. Now, to be fair, when you open up the little this little scenario, right? Yeah. There's a QR code in it for the online pre-gen.
Oh, okay.
Generator. So you can go right there, like on your phone or your tablet, and go beep, 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 and you got a pre-gen right on your phone. Yeah. And you can use that.
Yeah. And I think
all the players can do that.
I think they have animals in there too. Animals,
and they might.
They have that, and there's also a couple supernatural kind of ones, like Crabman or Fishman or.
Yeah.
But
I like the traditional characters. Yeah. I am not opposed to like the weird like the undead characters, like the skeleton or the zombie.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm not opposed to those character types either.
The second wind characters, so to speak. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not opposed to those either.
Well. Speaking of likes and dislikes, why don't we move on?
Yes.
Why don't we move on to the our primary topic here, and surprise, listen to 2 old guys gripe about stuff that they don't like.
Let's do that.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan. $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
All right, we are back. This is the main segment of this interesting episode. We're going to give you an interesting topic. 2 old men screaming at the clouds, "Get off my lawn, you bastards!" There we go, Scott. Take it away.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just kind of another kind of improv casual conversation. That's something that Keith and I have had many times before, and it's going to be kind of off the cuff, but like many people in the hobby, people have particular interests, and that includes likes and dislikes.
I hate peas.
I know. It angers the digestion system, but yeah. So I mean, I'm sure plenty of you who have listened to the podcast for a while know some of Keith's dislikes, as they are worn on his many. They are worn on his sleeve, but one of the ones that he's going to talk about today is reasons why he's not generally a fan of sci-fi and RPGs, and my point of contention, which probably has not been brought up as many times, but I have done a couple topics regarding it on my YouTube channel, is issues that I have with finding a good superhero role-playing game, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think I've found one yet. And for I'm sure reasons that many people might go, "Hey, you stupid idiots, here you go. This may fix you guys." But But we
Yeah.
do have reasons, and of course, this is not going to be full of any vitriol. We're not going to be exclusively pointing out specifics of anyone's game, but just reasons why Keith is more reasons why he's not a fan of sci-fi as a genre, and mine is more why I'm not necessarily feel like there's ever really been a superhero role-playing game that I feel captures what I think these superhero comic books are all about. But at the end of the day, it's two old fuckers yelling at the clouds.
Right.
So we'll see how it rolls out. So
Yeah.
and we may go back and forth. But why don't we just, since you are more kind of like grounded in hatred and venom, why don't we start with sci-fi. Sci-fi is popular genre. Many people like it, and there's many different flavors of sci-fi,
there is.
which I personally know I have joined you in different flavors of it, and in some games that you have begrudgingly been a part of. So
Yeah.
all right.
So Keith doesn't like sci-fi as a genre. I think it starts way back when I was a wee little child. No. So seriously, growing up, sci-fi, even fantasy growing up was not a thing in my childhood.
Okay.
Fantasy became a thing. Like books started to become a thing when I was around 8 or 9 years old. I got the D&D Red box set when I was 8. So fantasy became the focus of things, right? Gaming and things. Sci-fi never was.
Right.
Like when we watched movies, when we rented movies, because we didn't have really cable TV till I was a little bit older. Sci-fi was never an interest with my parents. So like sci-fi was never a thing that I was exposed to.
Okay. Weird.
Okay, fair. That I recall from my childhood. So growing up and getting older, it was just never a thing of interest.
Sure.
And I've always struggled with having an interest in sci-fi. There's a lot of things within sci-fi I just have a hard time with. I love science, like real science, right? And I get that a lot of sci-fi is grounded in some real science. I'm good with that part of it, but it's all the other stuff that makes science fiction tick that I don't like. I can find, and I know I've said this to you plenty of times, Scott. I'm so good with like the idea that, like, to me, ghosts are real. Like I can get down with the idea that ghosts are real. Aliens, not so much. I mean,
Sure.
the reality is aliens probably do exist, right? Alien species from another planet probably do really exist. But my little dinosaur brain will go to the idea that like ghosts and astral projection and voodoo and witchcraft are far more real in my mind
Sure.
as a real thing than alien species from another planet, right?
Okay.
So I have a hard time wrapping my head around playing in the genre of sci-fi because I can't make sense of the fiction.
Okay.
I can't connect to the fiction, I guess is what I'm saying.
Huh. Okay. So I'm sure this will be the first of many devil's advocates tossed back and forth. But okay. No. So, taking what you said about aliens. Now, we all know that dragons, orcs, elves.
Right. They're not real. I get it.
Those don't exist. So
Right.
what's the breaking point though? Because there's got to be some kind of like weighted aspect to one side as opposed to the other.
Right.
It
I get it. And
Yeah.
this is something like I struggle with, right? Like
Okay.
I think it goes back to my childhood where I connected with fantasy because of exposure.
Okay.
Early on where I didn't connect with, the only thing I connected with sci-fi is the science part.
Okay.
Like real science as a
Right.
kid
Sure.
early on, but not connecting science and fiction together. I only connected fiction and fantasy, the fantasy side of fiction together, not connecting science and fiction together.
Okay. So
As a kid, so to me, science and fiction in my head don't go together.
right.
Where fantastical and fiction, they're meshed together.
Huh. Okay. So probably the biggest one is, of course, like many other people in the hobby. You don't necessarily you didn't have this foundational aspect that you latched onto, which of course leads to, in your older age, there's no nostalgia aspect of revisiting this and existing within it. So
my earliest memories of science fiction are seeing the second Star Wars movie in the theater. I remember my mom taking me to see it in the theater.
Okay. Empire Strikes Back, right?
Yeah. It wasn't like such a memorable thing for me that
Go ahead, Zohan.
That it left that big of a mark on my life that it's like I'm a fanboy, right? Like, okay, yeah, cool. I saw the movie. All right, move on.
Okay. But before we move on, let me get this straight. Your mom took you to see part 2 of a trilogy, and she didn't even bother to, show you or take you to see Star Wars first?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so I think I found the point.
Maybe
it's your mom's fault.
I don't know.
Dropping someone in the middle of a trilogy, especially
it's my mom's fault.
Empire Strikes Back will just.
Mom, if you're listening, it's your fault.
Who is this guy in the armor, and why is he the father of this blonde guy? I mean, what? And just who's this glowing old man that's telling him to go see the green dude on the plane? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, so relatively, around the same age. So my exposure to sci-fi, was probably started with, of course, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back,
right.
but then there was also the daily aspects of, where I grew up there, every morning in elementary school, things like Robotech and Battle and not Battlestar Galactica, but Battle of the Planets, G-Force. These were things that I was watching every morning.
Nope, not me.
On the weekends, it was reruns of Thunderbirds, the weird puppet.
I did like Transformers, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, all of those.
Well, Transformers, do you not consider Transformers to be sci-fi, or do you?
No, because
that's robots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like robots are more grounded to me. I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
different thing.
Yeah. I mean, is it an element of science fiction? I mean,
sure.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you that, I guess. But
it's living robots.
Right. I mean, okay. Yes. I'll acquiesce to that one. Yes. Okay. Sure. I'll give you that. Yeah. But it's more grounded to me. It feels more grounded, right?
Okay.
Just like the idea that, fucking turtles eating pizza, living in sewers, hanging out with a fucking rat. I mean, come on.
Okay. So, but still, I get the disconnect, between the science and the fiction. And then a lot of people would argue that, things like Star Wars, that's not science fiction. It's science fantasy, or just fantasy, right? It's space fantasy, space opera. But like, the more science fiction thing, like, Star Trek. When I
was a teenager, I watched a lot of Star Trek. I watched like reruns of the original Star Trek or Next Generation. Like I watched it. I enjoyed watching it. Like I enjoyed it for what it was, but it wasn't anything that appealed to me enough to go, I want to fucking role play.
Sure.
I want to do role playing games in that environment. Like, no, it just doesn't. It didn't then, it doesn't now.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I was never like a Trekkie. I've probably seen 2 episodes of the original series. One of my best friends, first day the Next Generation came out, I was with him at his house. I watched an episode with him.
He was a fanboy from the first episode on?
Yeah, and I think I maybe watched I've seen all the movies, but those are different in my opinion.
Right. It's like I watched a lot of Doctor Who episodes on PBS as in my youth, but I'm not a Whovian, right? Like I can watch them, I can enjoy them for what they are.
Okay.
But I'm not like a fanboy. Like,
okay. Yeah. So
if that makes sense.
No, and still that's different. That's like, I don't like Star Wars, but I like Star Trek. That's personal, but it's still science fiction. And again, Doctor Who kind of straddles that a bit, but still, generally speaking, we're just looking at the all-encompassing aspect of science fiction,
right?
And trying to see if there was anything under that umbrella.
And I think one of the other things about science fiction that just bothers me is like flying around in fucking spaceships with space lasers going pew 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 pew. Like, come on, just not feeling it.
As opposed to flying in airplanes over the Pacific, going rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, and
That's real. That's real.
okay.
Or pirate ships, Age of Sail ships firing fucking cannons at each other. That's real shit.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. Standouts. So, I mean, obviously you haven't completely closed the door. You've given it a good go, but, and
Correct.
This is just with us, but, before you got older, did you at least give anything a try, or were you just like, nope, don't want to do it?
Now, I will say, in all honesty, the short answer is no.
Okay.
I didn't.
Fine. Yeah.
And it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was, in general, the opportunities weren't there.
Okay. That's fine.
My role-playing game experiences or access to stuff growing up as a teenager was very much limited to fantasy and your favorite superheroes. Not that I like superheroes either.
Sure.
But that's really what it was limited to growing up. On occasion, in my early military time, in the early mid-90s, I did some sci-fi, but it was more miniatures based. So it was three-dimensional ships, tactical movement on a big cloth mat. It was Silent Death, if anybody listening is familiar with that game. And that was the extent of any sci-fi gaming I really did until probably the last 8 or 10 years.
Okay.
With, a handful of role-playing games and in particular the ones like that you and I did together.
Sure.
And that was because I agreed to do them with you guys, but just to try a handful of different things.
Geez, you're welcome.
I know, right? But it wasn't the game that was being played. Like, I could play just about any game. I will play just about any game at least once.
Yeah.
However, it was the people I was playing with and the story that was being told to me is far more important than any particular mechanics or even the genre.
Yeah, sure.
So.
No, I get that. But still, we haven't found the roots, because I appreciate what you're saying. But to me, and we're not.
Okay, Dr. Scott.
We're not going to be able to find it today because you don't you can't afford.
I can't point on the doll where the aliens touched me.
You can't afford my hourly rate.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
But no,
so let's switch gears. Let's switch over and
okay.
And
yeah.
Where did the superhero touch you that just really chaps your ass? Is it that they wear a fucking long sleeve, long pant unitard you don't like?
Absolutely not. That's part of,
Or is it that you don't have a unitard that enhances your manhood?
So the answer to that is no, and the answer to the second one is, well, I know that's none of your business. So,
but I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Hey, a
unitard with a squirting codpiece.
Perfect, and then I'll send it back to you with the maple syrup that I muled back from. But no, so going back in time, rolling back, I'm one of 3 children, but there's an expansive difference between my 2 older brothers and me. So for all intents and purposes, I pretty much grew up an only child. And of course, but also as a child of the 80s, was your prototypical latchkey child. So there was a lot of time, I had friends, but there was still a lot of downtime with just myself. Yeah. And of course, you find ways, to entertain yourself. There's video games, obviously, there's television, novels, but of course I was drawn to comic books, like many kids were. Okay. And my, as I started to get older and read these comic books, my taste grew. Now I will just pause it here for a minute. I am not a giant comic book aficionado. I did collect an eclectic assortment of comic books when I was younger, and I still read comic books to this day, but I am not like, I know the exact story arc of issue 1 through 895 of X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. I can't.
Okay, so you have a comic book experience like me. Like I like a lot of the indie stuff.
Sure.
And I read like little short story arcs, 4 to 6, maybe 10 books, and the story arc's done. I like really weird, eclectic shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I did, and I do like superhero comics, but I never really read like the more, let's just say, standardized subset of villain of the week, and Batman and Robin head out to, dash, the Purple Man, or, the X-Men went out, or, Fantastic Four went out and, threw Mole Man down, those kind of things. As most of my superhero genre dealt with a lot of the more, mature and adult themes, the aspects when, the X-Men starting to dive into the parallels between discrimination and things such as that, and using the mutants as as an example to talk about that. The Iron Man, dealing with his alcoholism. Green Arrow dealing with Speedy's heroin addiction, I believe it was. And that aside, I was still reading other comics. Obviously ElfQuest is one that we've talking about a bit. Yep. And while ElfQuest, beautifully drawn, cartoon comic, and the story began kind of typically as like a fantasy adventure, but it rolled into somewhat mature and theme. So a lot of those, even the beginnings of things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those issues were dark. They weren't eating pizza. They weren't high-fiving and saying bro all the time. I mean, fucking Shredder was killed in the first issue. But my primary reading, revolved around so many other things than just superheroes. When my first introduction to superheroes in role-playing games like mini was Marvel, right? The yellow box, never really got around to playing it per se, but, kind of read through it. And to me, when I read through it, it felt like, and of course people can yell at me, tell me I'm wrong, but initially it felt like all you're doing is just putting on the costume of, whoever your favorite Marvel superhero is, and you're playing them. Now, right out the gate, that did not interest me. Now, I know you could do character creation and generation, all that stuff, that's fine. But for me, it felt like all you're doing is creating a shadow or a car wrap of the standard archetypes, the Superman, the Batman, the
Aquaman,
the Tony Stark, the magic dude, and all that stuff. And essentially it was go out, fight the big bad guy, rinse and repeat. Now, again, I'll kind of put another pause here and say, well, isn't that just the general theme of early Dungeons and Dragons? Okay, you've got your archetypes, you suit up, you kick in the dungeon door, you beat everything up, you steal their shit, you come back, and you do it again. Yes, but I didn't have the same expectations for fantasy that I did for the superhero genre. To me, fantasy, a lot of fantasy books and things that I read were not unsimilar to that. Because I never really I never went into Dungeons and Dragons thinking I want to recreate the Lord of the Rings.
Right.
It was I wanted to recreate like Conan or Fafhrd and Grey Mouser or things like that, which generally speaking followed that kind of route. Whereas superheroes, I wanted to delve into the more mature aspect of it, and so I never really got into them until later in life when I started to take a look at other super. It was like, hey, do you want to try, the hero systems? Like, just it,
right.
Like,
but you had like separation. You had different expectations for fantasy, and you had different expectations for your Marvel, not your Marvel, but your superheroes.
Sure,
it's the same as me having. I had expectations for my fantasy, right? Because I had preconceived notions of what fantasy fantastical fiction was, and then I had no preconceived notions of what science fiction was because I didn't have a real frame of reference to conceive what it was. Because I didn't really equate something to it. I knew what Star Wars was, and I knew what Star Trek was, and and Doctor Who, but I didn't have like a gaming frame of reference to wrap around.
Sure. And
so
and
that's kind of the same thing.
Kind of, yeah. And it's not like I didn't, it's not like I avoided it. Every once in a while, I would, read up on whatever, things were, but it was always kind of like, And as I got older, there were video games that emulated what I felt that the RPGs were doing, throw on your tights, go beat shit up, and, just do the standard aspect of what a lot of people think superheroes do. And I didn't have to do that with other people and, preparation and rolling dice and, going places. I can just go out and just essentially, play these games. And then as I got older, there's the MMOs like City of Heroes and things like that maybe took care of that slight itch. And, with the, I'd like to do
think this centers around the tight, the unitard. I think that's what this centers around.
Yeah, it's a little tight, both of our issues could just be, a lack of blood flow. Mine is tights and yours is, I don't know, you've got a space squid wrapped around something that it shouldn't be. I don't know.
Could be. But it's quite possible.
So
maybe I have a brainworm. I don't know.
So yeah. So but really didn't revisit it in any sort of detail or effort until our second win with role playing games as we got older. The whole career, school, life, marriage, kids, and then of course that kind of paved the way for this particular genre to grow, and it has.
It's much evolved. Obviously, sci-fi has much evolved since both have evolved since we were kids.
So have I. So I know some people might say, Scott, here's your solution: masks. Right? Everyone loves masks because masks, the superhero generic aspect of go out and beat up the supervillain, is secondary to the aspects of these teenagers dealing with teenager things and the internal conflicts that occur when you're a superhero and you've got real life and all that stuff. But the problem with that is I'm older now and I don't have much interest in dealing with that shit anymore.
The angsty bits. I did that as a teenager. I don't need to do that shit no more.
Yeah, and not saying that I wouldn't give it a try. As of this day, I have not yet. But I still don't think that is going to fill what I would be looking for. The balance, I should say, the balance of what I'd be.
Now,
that kind
I
of
can
swings
say
too far to the right.
From experience, I have played Masks, the Next Generation.
Sure.
Our friend Lloyd ran it. I'm not a supers guy either. My comics are like indie comics. I've never got into like really the big superheroes and all of that. I don't even watch the Marvel movies. I'll watch them with the wife because she likes when I do that. But other than that, meh. Unless it's Deadpool, because Deadpool's funny as shit.
Right.
However, Lloyd did run that. That was enjoyable. But again, there's that angsty bit. Meh.
Yeah.
I do want to try Spectaculars.
Okay.
The boxed game, comes in the big box.
Yeah.
To see how that differs.
Right. I mean, and I'm talking partially from, kind of like a half-ass opinion because, I'll be honest, my opinion is based on what I've read. Mutants and Masterminds, Hero System, Golden Heroes even, and, the Phase Rip, and so on and so forth. But the only one I would say that kind of captures a particular aspect that I feel might do it for me, because it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what I feel comics represent, what superhero comics represent to me when I read them and what they provide, is like you mentioned, Spectaculars. Now, I picked that up on Lloyd's recommendation, and when I did, it was half price, so it was a steal. Yeah. Did an unboxing of it, looked through it, and it did kind of feel like this is more kind of what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the whole the dark and angsty aspect of, everything needs to be like the X-Men, as a representation for racism and prejudice in the States. Because I still love the basic aspect of, let's be superheroes and go out and save the day. And it's hard to explain, but there's just still something in these role-playing games, as I've read through them and maybe created a character, that just something was just felt missing, like the comic book aspect of it. There's a difference between reading a comic book and how it's written and how it's portrayed, and the art and the way that the language is used than the movies, and then of course in the role-playing game. Spectaculars looks like it's structured that it might come close.
I'll give you that. I have a copy as well. I picked it up secondhand somewhere, and I have my little bit of skimming through it. It feels more, the way it's written, the way it's presented, thematically, graphically, everything feels like more like you're engaging with a comic book. Mm-hmm. The language, like I said, the presentation, everything, the typography just feels like you're being immersed more into a comic book and into the genre than anything. Sure. So I have high hopes for you with it. I have higher hopes for me with it, because I'm like you. I'm just the genre as a whole, because again, I don't have a lot of exposure or interest in that genre. I'm willing to give it a try.
Right.
So,
okay.
Oh, but one thing did come to my mind, jumping super quick back to Sci-Fi. I do have one Sci-Fi game I do like, and I will play at the drop of a hat.
Huh.
And you've mentioned it once in this podcast episode already. In the opening segment.
Thirsty Sword Lesbians?
That's not really Sci-Fi, but I would play that. No. Mothership.
Oh, okay, because I was going to kind of roll it back and say, okay, what have you tried? And so Mothership.
Mothership.
Okay, go on.
And the reason I like Mothership is it's less sci-fi. I mean, it is sci-fi in a sense, but it's focused more on the horror element of things.
Sure.
The sci-fi elements of it are, I'm not going to say that they're bolted on, but they are baked into it. But the premise is, the horror aspects of it are really what it's playing up to.
Yeah, it's
Cthulhu in space. I mean, come on.
Well, it's emulating Alien, be
exactly.
perfectly honest. But it does a fantastic job of doing that. But whereas it's just you and the xenomorph, it's you and a cosmic horror, rip your soul to pieces, type xenomorphic Cthulhu-esque creature and other things.
Yes. So that is one particular sci-fi I'm air quoting for those that aren't watching. That I have played several times. I have enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But again, it's because the horror elements of it are more of the main focus.
Yeah.
And the sci-fi elements the focus is less on that.
I get that. It's not unlike how I have zero interest in playing a vanilla Western RPG. A lot of people love that. I'm sure there's plenty of wonderful games out there. But you throw a tentacle or some creatures in there, or some weird, mad scientist, I'm in. World War II, kind of, but you throw Achtung Cthulhu at me, it's like, okay, I'm in. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I get it.
So it kind of helps. It's like a spoonful of sugar is helping the sci-fi go down. But
so. With your spoonful of sugar, I bet if you put on that unitard I'm going to send you for Christmas and you play your superhero game, that'll be your spoonful of sugar. It'll make it go down easier.
Sure. But so what do our listeners think? Do you have some comments about things such as sci-fi and superheroes? Are these a genre that you can relate to with both Keith and I? Is there, do you have reasons, or probably I would say better defined reasons than our off-the-cuff rambling that probably just makes zero sense whatsoever. And
our shit makes sense.
Yeah, but or other genres. I mean, and I'm not talking about just like I don't like sword and sorcery. Why? I just don't. Is there a particular reason? Let us know. Drop us an email. Drop us a comment, or just hit us up online and tell us your stories about is there something that no matter how hard you try, your friends keep trying to get you into it, there's no way in hell that you will play, a particular genre or aspect of RPG because it just doesn't connect. Or you have these expectations through another source of it, and it's just not the same. So,
yep. And for listeners, when I can get off my lazy butt and get Scott to do me some graphics, off his lazy butt and do some graphics, our Discord, we're going to be rebranding our Discord. Yep, congratulations, Scott. You just found out. Because in our last episode, it is true. In our last episode, I had said that I had stopped blogging on Rolling Boxcar, so that we are currently piggybacking our Discord with Rolling Boxcar. So with Rolling Boxcars not being Rolling Boxcars anymore, we're going to rebrand it fully up as the Titterpigs Discord server. So we're going to rebrand it, restructure it, fully re-envision the whole thing. So we're going to get off our lazy asses and do it.
I am on board for colonizing and culturally appropriating the Rolling Boxcars Discord.
That's right. We're totally going to do it.
for king and country.
That's right. In Canada. So look for that over the next couple of weeks. We just got to find some downtime to do it. We're both still really, really busy with work and families.
Right. Okay. So, well, look for some future episodes coming up. We'll be talking with James and his cohort.
Business partner,
KamCon. Hopefully we'll have Avery Alder. Oh God, we should really prepare for this.
We really should. We're professionals. We don't need to prepare.
But
no, it's Alder. I know it is.
And then some other guests that we kind of have down the road. We'll see how it swings. And likewise, we'll be talking about our review of Weird Heroes of Public Access after Keith gets back from his convention. So
that's right.
I think that's it. Episode 51 is in the can. Do you have anything else to add? Like anything that you haven't told me about either?
Well, now that you mention it, no, I don't.
All right.
So,
all right.
Take us on out of here, Scott.
Bye.
All right, listeners, since Scott can't do it, remember to like and subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to us. We like the likes. That helps us move up in rankings, all that good stuff. Comment wherever you see it. Tell us you like the podcast. Share it on your social medias. That also helps spread the word. We don't care what word, just spread the word.
Yeah.
Except the bad word. We don't like the F word. Fun.
Yeah.
We don't like fun.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
We just proved we don't like fun. We hate sci-fi and superheroes. I mean, what's left?
Yeah. No, seriously. Share it on your social media. We'd greatly appreciate the boost, the signal boost. Shoot us an email. Tell us what genres or types of games within a genre that you don't particularly care for and why. If we get some responses, we'll blast them out on the next episode. Look for another episode in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Well, we are off to Dagobah to seek Yoda.
Oh, why? You got to bring him his unitard. Is that it? In his cape, in his mask.
Try or try not. There is no. I fucked it up.
Fucking dumbass you are.